Good evening and welcome to the January 6, 2002 organizational meeting of the West Clermont Local School District School Board. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, sit down.
Call the roll?
Mr. Ramon, could you call roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Delaney?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Present.
Mr. Chomley? Present. Mr. Patton?
Yes.
5 present.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Romano, 1.04, swearing in of newly elected board members, please.
Okay, and if I could present to the board, there was the results of the election from this past November. And the new board members are, for the 4-year term, Mrs. Michelle Delaney, Mr. Ryan Patton, and Mr. Jim Rudy. And if we could start with the oath of office with Mrs. Delaney. Okay, if you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, Michelle Delaney,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will perform faithfully
and that I will perform faithfully
the duties of a member of the Board of Education
the duties of a member of the Board of Education
of the West Clermont Local School District,
of the West Clermont Local School District,
Clermont County, Ohio,
Clermont County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability,
and in accordance with the laws
in accordance with the laws
now in effect and hereafter
now in effect and hereafter,
to be enacted
to be enacted
during my continuance
during my continuous
in said office
and said office,
and until my successor
and until my successor
is elected and qualified,
and is elected and qualified.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Time permits, you can just sign there. And then if we could have Mr. Patton. I, please state your name,
I, Ryan Patton,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will perform faithfully
and that I will perform faithfully
the duties of a member
the duties of a member
of the Board of Education
of the Board of Education
of the West Clermont Local School District,
of the West Clermont Local School District,
Clermont County, Ohio,
Clermont County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and in accordance with
and in accordance with
the laws now in effect
the laws now in effect
and hereafter to be enacted
and hereinafter to be enacted
during my continuance in said office
during my continuance in said office
and until my successor
and until my successor
is elected and qualified,
is elected and qualified.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Go ahead and sign that. And Mr. Rudy. Raise your right hand, please. I state your name, please.
I, Jim Rudy,
Swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will perform
and that I will perform
faithfully
faithfully
the duties of a member
the duties of a member of
of the Board of Education
the Board of Education
of the West Clermont Local School District,
of the West Clermont Local School District,
Clermont County, Ohio,
Clermont County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and in accordance with the laws
and in accordance with the laws
now in effect
now in effect
and hereinafter to be enacted
and hereinafter to be enacted
during my continuance
during my continuance
in said office
in said office
and until my successor is elected
and until my successor is elected
and qualified,
and qualified,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And when you get time to sign that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, item 2.01, nomination of a board president.
open the
You're calling
nominations.
for the nominations.
Calling for nominations for president of the school board.
I elect Jim Rudy.
Thank you.
I'll second that nomination.
Any other nominations?
So you want to move the,
A motion to close the nominations.
I'm looking for a motion to close nominations.
He made a motion.
So
Tammy?
moved.
Okay. And a second?
Second. Michelle?
was Mr. Chumley who moved?
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Delaney, second. And so we'll call the roll to close the nominations for the office of president. Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Mrs. Delaney?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
5 yes to close the nominations for president. And now this would be a motion to elect Mr. Rudy, since he was the one nominated for president.
Someone needs to make a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion.
Looking for a motion to accept Mr. Rudy as president.
So moved.
Okay, a second.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Chumley, thank you. Any discussion?
Michelle and
Okay, all those in favor?
I can call the roll.
Okay, call the
This
roll.
would be the
Sorry.
roll for Mr. Rudy as president. So Mrs. Delaney,
Yes.
Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Rudy,
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman.
Yes.
5 yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Now I'd like to,
we have to
take
do
the
the
oath of
oath.
office.
We have to do the
oh,
oath.
sorry.
It's okay.
Mr. Rudy, if you raise your right hand. I, please state your name.
I, Jim Rudy,
Swear that I will support the Constitution
swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
to the best of my
to
ability,
the best of my ability,
perform the duties of the President
perform the duties of the President
of the Board of Education
of the Board of Education
of the West Clermont Local School District,
of the West Clermont Local School District,
Clermont County,
Clermont County,
Ohio.
Ohio.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay. Looking for nominations for Vice President. I would like to nominate Michelle Delaney. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mrs. Brinkman.
Yes, correct.
Any other nominations? Okay, I'm looking for a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Romano?
Okay, this is the motion to close the nominations for Vice President. Mrs. Delaney,
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Yes.
Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Rudy.
Yes.
5 yes to close the nominations for Vice President.
I'm now looking for a nomination or
A motion.
a motion
Yep.
to accept Mrs. Delaney as Vice President of the school board.
I make a motion for.
So moved.
Okay.
Is what we usually say. Okay, a second?
So Ryan,
Yep.
and then
Mr. Chumley.
Okay. Mr. Chumley, second?
Okay, so we'll call the roll. This is for, to elect Mrs. Delaney as Vice President. Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Mrs. Delaney,
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Yes.
Mr. Rudy.
Yes.
5 yes. Congratulations.
Happy oath.
Keep me in charge.
Yes.
All right, could you raise your right hand, please? I
I, Michelle Delaney,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
perform the duties of the Vice President
perform the duties of the Vice President
of the Board of Education
of the Board of Education
of the West Clermont Local School District,
of the West Clermont Local School District,
Clermont County, Ohio,
Clermont County, Ohio.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The audience really wants to clap. Welcome, everyone.
Okay, item 2.05, appointments of board representatives for 2022. So legislative liaison to the Ohio School Boards Association, Mr. Chumley, correct?
Yes.
Student achievement liaison to Ohio School Boards Association. Is anyone interested? I will do that then. West Clermont Education Foundation liaison. Anyone interested?
Mr. Rudy, I'm not sure what these positions are.
That's right. Who was on it last year?
Me.
Just you?
So I will do it if no one else wants to. Unless any of you do.
What's involved?
Monthly meeting. Just
So I can give a
Representing
little
the
bit of
board.
background on each of these, just to give you guys a little more information, if you need that. The legislative liaison is related to going to the Ohio School Boards Association meetings and serving as a representative for West Clermont. And you become a voting member of that. The student achievement liaison is also related to the school board conference that we attend, and you serve and work with the students when we have student work presented up there. You kind of help and support that. You've done that a lot, Jim. Would you say you do any more than work with the students and the teachers that go up for the presentation?
support them.
Yep. The Education Foundation is our foundation that supports the work of the school district to go above and beyond the general fund. And we typically have meetings once a month. And so a board member often represents there. Business Advisory Council, we've shifted to quarterly meetings, but sometimes it's monthly meetings. It has in the past, but this year it's a quarterly meeting that happens usually in the morning. And then Great Oaks is actually serving as a board member to represent West Clermont at the Great Oaks School Board. So, and we've assigned someone outside of the board membership to do that the last couple of years.
Is that every Great Oaks School Board meeting?
Yes, every Great Oaks or every meeting, which,
Is that every one of their school board meetings?
yes.
Well,
yes.
it's a once-a-month meeting, and all of the buildings come together for that one meeting.
Gotcha, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's, I couldn't tell if you were talking about multiple buildings, it's one. We have, May Hanna has been serving in that role, and she was interested in continuing it, unless there's a board member who wants to, so.
Mr. Rudy, how
Yes.
often does the foundation meet?
Monthly.
And what day of the week do they typically meet?
Monday, I believe, is it the third Monday?
And
Yes.
who's in that, like, group?
It's a committee of just volunteers, some parents, some former parents. From our team, it's me, Mr. Romano, Mr. Overby, and Mr. Ryle.
I could serve on that committee, since
Okay.
it's Mondays. If they ever decided that they want to move off of Monday, we might need to revisit that, though.
Okay. Business Advisory Council liaison, were you interested in that, Mrs. Brinkman? No. Anyone else? That's meetings are during the day?
We can make sure we give you reports,
Okay.
if that's helpful, if we don't have a representative at this time.
Okay. And then for Great Oaks, is everyone okay with May Hanna? Okay.
I'm sorry, was there business advisory was?
No one.
Okay.
So now I'm looking for a motion to accept, looking for a motion to accept these appointments.
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
I second.
Oh, go ahead, Mr.
I second it.
Okay.
Delaney and Patton.
Any discussion? Mr. Romano?
Mrs. Delaney?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, item 2.06, approval of board meeting dates for 2022. Looking for a motion to approve these dates, and I'll put that out in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, any discussion?
I appreciate that we've reconsidered the original plan and moved to the standard twice a month like we've been doing for years. So thank you for that.
Any other discussion? Mr. Romano?
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Mrs. Delaney?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Yes.
Mr. Patton.
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, item 2.07, board committees. I'm going to read off the people that I have listed, and if there's been a change, please speak up, let us know. Culture and personnel, I will be on there with Mrs. Brinkman. Education, Mr. Chumley and I. Family and student our family and community engagement, I will be on there with Mr. Patton. Finance and advocacy, Mrs. Delaney, Mr. Patton. Operations, Mrs. Brinkman and I. And policy, Mrs. Delaney and Mr. Patton. Now, I'm on 4 there, so is there anybody that wants to take one of
Do
those?
you want me to pick up operations from you?
That's good.
How many were you on, Mr. Chumley?
One.
One? Do you want to,
Do you want another one, Michael?
What do you want?
Operations,
He's on operations, families, and community.
I thought Michelle was doing operations.
so Michelle, you want to do operations?
Unless Michael wants to, I mean, I enjoy the operations committee.
Do you want another one for me, Michael?
Sure.
Culture and personnel or family and community engagement?
Let's do culture.
Okay. Chumley.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other discussion? Okay, I'm looking for motion to accept those people and positions.
So moved.
In a second.
Second,
Okay. Any discussion?
can you repeat those?
Culture and personnel would be Mr. Chumley, Mrs. Brinkman. Education, Mr. Chumley and I. Family and community engagement, Mr. Patton and I. Finance and advocacy, Mrs. Delaney and Mr. Patton. Operations, Mrs. Brinkman and I. And
No,
popular-
I'm
No,
operations.
you are operations, so
Brinkman
I'm
and Delaney.
off there, sorry. And policy, Mrs. Delaney and Mr. Patton.
Okay, great, thank you.
Everybody okay? Okay. Thank you all for those. Mr. Romano?
You need a motion to.
I need a motion to approve them. I'm
We have
sorry.
Mr. Chumley moved and Mrs. Delaney second.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't.
Sorry, I was
missed it.
discussing.
I forgot.
For the roll, be Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Mrs. Delaney,
Yes,
Mrs. Brinkman,
yes.
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Rudy.
Yes.
5 yes.
2.08, annual membership dues for the National School Boards Association and Ohio School Boards Association for 2022.
There's also listed the Ohio Education Policy Institute, too.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't
That's
see
right, that
that.
was missed in the top part.
Okay. The OEPI, excuse me. So I'm looking for a motion to accept us joining those organizations.
so moved.
In a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
And these are committees that are conferences that memberships that we've had in years past, correct? No
Yes.
changes?
Are we leaving or we're not leaving or joining anything new? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Romano?
Mrs. Delaney,
Yes,
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Rudy,
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Yes.
Mr. Chumley.
Yes.
5 yes.
All right, public comment, do we have any cards?
We do not.
Okay. Superintendent's business, 4.01, standing authorization for the superintendent for the calendar year 2022.
In your notes there, you'll see all the authorizations that are listed to give me the ability to conduct business in between board meetings. And so the superintendent recommends approving the standing authorization as presented.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion
So moved.
and a second?
Second?
Okay, any discussion? Mr. Romano?
Mrs. Delaney?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
5 yes.
4.02 state and federal programs.
In the packet, you'll see details about the federal programs that we participate in, and this gives the superintendent authorization to participate in these programs throughout the school year. So I ask that you authorize them as presented.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to approve this? Membership? Not membership, but
The federal grants.
these
the
federal
programs to
grants, to
participate.
accept them.
So moved.
Okay, Mrs. Brinkman, is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Delaney, any discussion?
Are there any new ones that we're considering?
The only thing that's new is related to the latest newness of the CARES money and the GEARS money related to the ESSER funds, so.
That's
everything-
correct.
Everything COVID related, so. It's not new, but hasn't always been there.
Thank you.
Mr. Romano?
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mrs. Delaney?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
5 yes.
4.03 superintendent's comments.
Well, Happy New Year to everyone, and again, welcome to Mr. Patton, and congratulations to our new president and vice president. I know this is going to be a very peppy agenda for us for this school year, lots of things going on and big decisions to make for the future of our district. I have Mr. Overby right now is at the middle school. It's a 27-round spelling bee today. So it is quite a hot and heavy competitive moment at the middle school right now. So our thoughts are with them. Also, speaking of the middle school, by 6 o'clock this morning, we had over 819 people participate in the Citizens Advisory Commission Middle School start time survey. So that was a huge turnout for just, I don't know, I think Jeffrey sent it out yesterday about 4 o'clock. So that's huge participation from our families that are 4th grade, 5th grade, and then all families in the middle school. As you all know, COVID is among us. Our protocols are certainly strongly in place, but we are having operational and staffing concerns. The same kinds of concerns that we had prior to break have not escaped us. And it's not necessarily everyone having COVID, but it's the combination of the typical winter seasonal issues, the respiratory, the flu, all that is affecting our ability to operate. It's impacting our kitchens this week and our staffing. And so we continue to monitor those and are hoping that we don't have to move into any kind of remote situations, but it's definitely not off the table as a consideration as we move forward. Typically, from talking to the health department, usually the fallout from a holiday is kind of a 2 weeks after. So when Dr. Fultz was looking at how attendance usually goes with staff this time of year, you usually see an increase as the month of January continues, and we've started off pretty high with, between, 60 and 8, have we hit 80 yet? Not quite it. Okay, we're close to 80, and often what's happening when 60 to 80 staff members are out, about half of those are not being filled. So that means we're combining classes. We have lots of different people covering classes that wouldn't typically do that. So if in the elementary, that means we would stop offering PE that day or art that day so they can be covered. And so people are playing kind of who's on first on a daily basis, getting us to be able to operate. So obviously, we're concerned about it as we continue to go into this winter season, and we'll just keep looking at the numbers. I've gotten a couple email. I haven't been bombarded by any means of some parents requesting the masking policy to be looked at, some parents requesting for online options this time of year. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Okay, item 5.01, Mr. Romano.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Rudy. So item 5.01, very similar to the superintendent's authorizations, is the treasurer's authorizations. And again, most and all of these authorizations are contained in board policy to go forward with. It is really the effort to make sure that in between the board meeting, that we can continue operations, make things efficient and effective, and keep business going. So I would request and recommend the approval of the following authorizations as listed.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Mr. Chumley, a second. I'll second that. Any discussion? Mr. Romano?
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Delaney?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
5 yes. Thank you.
Item 5.02, treasurer's comments.
So, it's, you know, as we ended last year, I think it gave me a lot of optimism that we were looking at a financial forecast that really followed a program forecast that was pretty positive for this district. So I kind of came into this new calendar year with a lot of optimism. There's probably no other group of people that I look forward to addressing the challenges of this district. There's always going to be challenges, and I think the optimism is there's a group of people here at this table, the administrative team that's put together, and you have a staff of people that are fully supportive of the efforts that this district has taken. And I think the positive momentum that started back in 2020 with the passage of that levy, I think continues on. So I'm very optimistic with the 2022 calendar year as we kind of look at the second half of the school year and look forward to the years beyond that.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Board business. We'll start with Mrs. Brinkman.
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Chumley?
Comments, is that what we're doing? Yeah, Happy New Year as well. Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. Hope everyone's staying safe from the blizzard we're having up there. And congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations to you guys as well. Happy to have you aboard. Look forward to the next couple of years working alongside you. And who day?
Mr. Patton?
I'm looking forward to working with the board and learning as I move along with this, so see what we got.
Ms. Delaney?
Welcome to the board, Mr. Patton. Put your seatbelt on. Enjoy the ride. No, it's awesome. You're going to love it. And Happy New Year, and everybody stay safe.
Okay, congratulations, Mr. Patton and Mrs. Delaney. I'm looking forward to a great school year. I mean, a great year at board work, not a school year. It's always a pleasure to work with you all. And thank you very much, and Happy New Year. There's not a need for executive session? Okay. So I'm looking, let's see. Should I announce the next meeting?
The next meeting would be the retreat,
The
that is
retreat.
this Saturday.
We have a retreat Saturday for the board members, and then our next business meeting is January 24th at 7 o'clock here. Okay, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, Mrs. Delaney, a second.
Second.
Mr. Patton, any discussion? Okay, Mr. Romano?
Mrs. Delaney?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
5 yes to adjourn.
Thank you all.
Be safe going home.